with UFC fighter Hayder Hassan, who has a big fight coming up on December 19th in Orlando, Florida. Hayder, how are you today?
I'm doing great. Thanks for taking the time to speak to me.
So how is training camp coming along for you?
Training camp's going really well. I have about three weeks left of camp. Everything's headed in the right progressions. I'm really trying to stay healthy and focus on my recovery. My mindset for this, it's not about who trains harder, it's about who trains smarter. So I'm trying to really dot my I's, cross my T's, focus on getting the job done, improving every day. And I'm excited. Everything's headed in the right direction, and I got 3 weeks left, and I'm going to peak at the right moment. So let's do it.
So we saw some footage of you today that we shot. Take us through a typical training day for you here at American Top Team.
So typically my schedule is spread up between technical skills and then and sparring. Right now I'm sparring Tuesdays and Thursdays, Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays and Saturdays. More technical aspects where I'm working on specifics for the fight. So it's pretty much, you know, we have our wrestling, our boxing, and our jiu-jitsu. So it's all about being a complete fighter. And with this fight, I'm really focusing on leaving no stone unturned. And really, I want no hesitation when the ref says fight. I'm going to go in there pedal to the metal.
This is the second time you fought Vicente Luque. Second time around, how much more personal is it for you in this fight?
Well, Vicente, he's actually one of the guys in the house from the Blackzilians that I got along really well.
Oh, really?
He's a good guy, gentleman, and he's a great fighter. I respect fighters that go out there and try and fight, and that's what he does. And for me, the first fight that we had in the house, you know, it was all tied up. We're fighting for $200,000 to the winner. So as far as the pressures, for me, every fight that I had in the house was a must-win situation for my team. So as far as the pressures that's associated with the fight, you know, I always have a relationship with pressure. I say you need to make love to pressure, so that it's second, like make it your wife, and so that's what I do. But for this fight, you know, I was kind of surprised that they wanted a rematch so soon. But with this being my 7th fight in a row against their team, I'm really planning to go out there and show that this fight, it's not going to go to the judges. You know, I'm going out there and I'm training to knock him out. In this situation, it's not going to be my 3rd fight in 17 days. I'm going to be fresh, I'm going to be healthy, I'm going to be athletic, and he's going to get me at my full speed. So God help him, because that's the only way he beats me is that's with God's help. I'm ready to die, and he's not going to take this from me.
Speaking of 3rd fight in 17 days, we spoke off camera before, and you said that fans really didn't get a chance to see the best of you at the TUF 21 finale. Let's talk about that.
You know, the TUF 21 finale, it was a hard situation, just because coming from the show, I fought most out of anyone in the house.
Right.
Especially my last fight in the house was ended up being a war, and I ended up having 1 week off, and then I was back in the gym training for this next fight. So as far as like my muscular system, my nervous system, I never had an opportunity to let my body just kind of recycle and let everything, all my hormones come back to normal. So I just went from being flat in my last fight in the house to be even more flat throughout my training camp. And there were times during my training camp where I didn't know if I was going to make it.
Wow.
Through the camp, that's how beat up my body was. But when you have a goal in mind, you just keep on pushing, and that's what I was doing. But unfortunately, the fight didn't go my way. Congrats to Marty. He earned it that night. But for me, I never say, if someone beats me the first time, I'll never say he's a better fighter than me. I always have to say you have to fight someone twice. And if the person beats you twice, then okay, hats off, you're better than me. But I'll never say he's better than me until I get him a second chance. And God willing, if that opportunity comes, I'll be ready for it.
Speaking of Kumara, I know you want to fight him again. So any news that you can share with us on when that fight might be?
Honestly, I feel like that fight is going to be down the road. He has his hands filled with a tough opponent. I have my hands filled with a tough opponent. So I'm not really trying to even think about him. You know, he won the fight, and my job is to go out there and destroy Vicente. And then, you know, if it happens, then let's go. But honestly, in my eyes, I got to focus on the task at hand and not overthink Vicente, because Vicente's a tough fighter.
Right.
If you blink, he's going to tag you. If you're a second too slow, you're going to pay for it. So for me, it's really about dotting those I's, crossing those T's, and I'm not going to overlook him.
Speaking of the fight with Vicente, when I think of the fight, 2 words come to my mind on paper: fireworks and explosive. Do you agree or not?
Absolutely. You know, he has the same type of mentality as me. For me, I'm a fighter that's looking to bring the action. I'm a fighter that lives the word fight. You know, I'm not trying to go out there and keep you on the ground. I'm trying to go out there and knock your head to the upper deck. And that's just the way I'm programmed. I've always, even before I ever had any coaching in my first 3-4 pro fights, you know, I was knocking guys out. You know, and that was with no boxing coaching. I'm a natural fighter. I'm a natural puncher. So for this fight, it's gonna be explosive, fireworks, power, speed, athleticism. But my goal is to not get touched. I'm really focusing on being able to, if you could say, throw the tornado at him, you know? And that's what I plan on doing, is just enveloping him, you know, with at every angle, punches, kicks, you name it, and just overwhelm him.
You have a very unique story about how you got into MMA. Let's talk a little bit about that.
As far as my story and getting to MMA, my younger brother, he also fights here. We're a year and a half apart. He fights light heavyweight. You know, we both went to college. I graduated from Florida State. He graduated from Georgetown, and he was a linebacker. And he was always like, if I don't make it to the NFL, I'm gonna fight. And he's a really bright kid, graduated with his finance degree. But he was always, he was never like, I can't wait to go to Wall Street. He was like, his mind was football or fighting. And after I graduated, I was working in healthcare, and I was miserable, you know. And Pitbull, Thiago Alves, had just fought Matt Hughes, and ended up knocking him out with that flying knee. And I remember watching that fight on Saturday, and we came to the gym on Monday, and I remember seeing Pitbull and lifting weights, and I was like, oh man, look, there's Pitbull, because he was my favorite fighter. So once I walked in these doors and I just saw the atmosphere, the Wall of Fame, I knew that you know, there's something special in the air here. And that's what, as soon as I had my first workout, I was addicted, you know, it couldn't pull me away. I had my first pro fight about 8 months later. I had a 9-second KO, and that was kind of my calling.
I read that your mom, she has 2 boys that fight. She's still not really accepted the idea. She still gets nervous watching this, right?
Absolutely. You know, my mom, you know, she's a psychologist, so she's always trying to, you know, psychoanalyze and, you know, we're always, you know, her kids will always be her babies no matter how old they are. The beginning of our fighting career was a tough transition, but now she's our biggest fan, you know, but like, granted, she doesn't stop praying. As soon as I give her an announcement that, hey mom, I'm fighting on this date, then she like, you know, she just goes into her mode of her daily prayers and her rituals and stuff like that, you know, so it's great. Honestly, in this sport, you know, the more people you can have praying for you, the more people sending you positive vibes is you know, I mean, you saw what happened to Ronda Rousey. This sport is so crazy. It's, you know, in football they say any given Sunday. You know, in fighting it's the same thing. Any given moment, you know, one slip, you sneeze, you slip, you know, you're gonna get head kick, knocked out. You know, so that's what I enjoy about this sport. It's a game of inches, and the first person to hesitate, usually the first person who gets caught, and that's what I live for.
Good point. Speaking of Ronda Rousey, were you surprised that Holly Holm was able to TKO her this weekend?
Honestly, I was really surprised. Just with the outcome of the fight, I didn't see it being that one way. Ronda Rousey is an incredible athlete. She's an incredible fighter. It just goes to show you how far the women's division has gone. But you know, just like myself, I'm coming off of a loss, and right now, me coming off of a loss, I'm the most deadly I've ever been. Just because when you're coming off of a loss, it forces you, like, as soon as you lose, you know why. And that's gonna be the same thing for Rousey, and she's a champion. She's an Olympian, she's a high-level athlete, incredible intelligence. So for her, I see her making a huge comeback, you know, especially she'll be able to make the adjustments the next time they fight, and may the best woman win, you know?
Before we go to anything else you want to add?
Not really, you know, right now everything is, I'm just kind of in I would say in cruise control. You know, I'm really trying to stay healthy these last couple of weeks. 2 of my best friends on the team, they both suffered really tragic injuries, very close to their fight dates, Thiago and my teammate Mursad. So for me, it's just a matter of staying smart, staying healthy, and quality over quantity as far as your reps. And that's pretty much my mindset.
Well, I know it's going to be an explosive fight, and fans, that fight is UFC Fight Night on December 19th in Orlando. Hayder Hassan, thank you so much for taking the time to speak with me.
I appreciate it. Thank you for asking me.